pretty big update on the John Deere 314. Finally was able to mow with it. And I honestly think it looks pretty good. Yeah, this is the yard. Did an alright job. I didn't do anything with the blades or anything. I just let her roll. Now that being said, it did not come without some qualms when mowing. So first things first that I noticed issue-wise, well, something else I'm just now noticing right now in this video is there is holes in that. That sucks. Oh well, I guess I can paint it and then reapply this stuff on here, the little scratchy thing, and that will hide the holes at least, but that kind of sucks. No big deal. Anyways, so the deck is loud, very loud, louder than the engine and then some, but that's why. It literally is, here's the, it shouldn't do that. It shouldn't go back and forth. So that one's cooked. The one over there is cooked as well. The middle seems fine. But yeah, they definitely, the two outers need to be replaced 100%. Number two is I still need to work on getting this engine mount replaced because, man, I tell you, this thing rattles everything. And then actually it rattles so bad that it wiggled the carburetor right back off. Well, it's super loose right now. It rattled that off while I was mowing. I didn't even notice it. I mean, the engine was running just fine, even with a very large air gap. I didn't notice it until today when I finished up some mowing. When I noticed I heard air coming through it, and I saw this thing vibrating very, very hardcore. And so either I just didn't tighten it hard enough, or the engine's just vibrating excessively because it's missing that engine mount. Both could be true. I don't know. I still haven't replaced all these wires yet. That's still on the to-do list, I promise. What was the other thing? Okay, so also another thing. Right when I ended the my mowing, like literally, like as soon as I was done, the clutch here, the electronic PTO, decided that it no longer wanted to engage. It just quit engaging. So that's unfortunate because a new one is not cheap. You know, I mean, not cheap in my eyes. It's a little on the expensive side. It could be multiple things. I know for one, my power situation is still not 100%. You know, heck, the cable that goes to it is frayed, so not a good step. Also, the way I have the battery hooked up is not all that great either. I mean, there's so many things that just, you know, could be the problem before I go assuming that it's 100% dead. I don't know yet. So we'll have to see for sure what's wrong with it. But it worked today though. After a day has passed, it worked. So that kind of makes me think it might either be the air gap situation. It's either an air gap situation or it's just going bad. I don't know. Maybe they can be rebuilt. I have no idea. But it worked today, and it worked all the way through my yard. So I mean, if it ends up dying right at the end of it, then so be it. But no, we'll end up I'll have to mess with it in some fashion. So that was the next thing that happened while in the mowing process. But other than that, though, it actually held pretty well. The whole thing functioned pretty good. The deck is mounted up really nicely, and the hydraulic deck works fine. I got all these new keepers on there, the cotter pins. So that's all in place. The next thing, though, that happened, just me messing with it, I noticed this belt was super loose, and I thought I got the right size for it. This spring, the actual tension spring, the tensioner, just fell apart, just flew into pieces. So I was just I noticed that it was like kind of a couple spots were looser than others, and I'm like, well, why is that spring doing that? It's probably because it's worn out. So yeah, it's pretty trashed as far as the condition of the metal, obviously, since it's split in two with my hands. So yeah, now there's no tension on it anymore, but whatever. I'll just end up getting a replacement for it. Like I said, kind of just little things kind of showing up after, you know, the first initial test. And I knew a mower like this wasn't going to just start working and be perfect right off the bat. It was going to have some issues during the first mow. That's why I wanted to get it so where I could at least test the mowing ability before I go and spend a bunch more parts into it. I've got to be honest, not a big fan of the transmission lever compared to the Cub Cadet, my main mower that I've been using. It has pedal drive hydrostatic, and oh my gosh, pedal drive hydrostatic is night and day better than this dash lever setup. So, I mean, I don't hate it. See, it's funny, if I went from my John Deere 180, which was, you know, on the fender, it was a manual transmission on the fender that required basically 2 pedal operation and switching that if I wanted fast or slow. If I went from that to this would be a godsend. I'd be like, wow, yeah, this is such an upgrade. But unfortunately, I went from the 180 to the pedal drive Cub Cadet, which is so much better, back to kind of in the middle of pedal drive and gear driven, or, you know, manual gear shifting. I mean, that's not manual at all, but it's just the operation of me having to use my hand to move it back and forth is, you know, back to that standard rather than using my feet. Now, that being said, I've seen a YouTube where someone actually modded they moved the brake pedal over on that side of the tractor and had they cut a hole out right here and here, you know, basically creating a pedal drive situation on one of these older tractors, which is cool, but I don't know if I'm really wanting to commit to that just for something so, I don't know, who knows. I still got much more work to do on this thing though before I'm like, let's do unnecessary mods. So that's the update on the 314 so far. Excuse me, so far. Overall though, I mean, it cut really well. I mean, I will say I'm entirely impressed. I mean, I still gotta do weed eating, don't look at that, but just the rest of the yard though, did a really good job. Very shocked how well this thing cut with blades that I have not touched, and it probably hasn't, the deck itself probably hasn't mowed in over years, you know, who knows. But it functioned. It did a good job. It worked all the way up until the clutch went out on it, and the clutch is now working again, but now the spring broke. So, you know, it's just the art of dealing with an old tractor that hasn't been maintained probably half of its life, if not its whole life, and then plus has sat for who knows how many years. So, all right, there you go. That's a look at the update on the John Deere 314. Keep tuned. I got probably some more updates to tell you down the road. Another update. Have another update here. Change the oil. Well, the oil has been drained. I'm going to put new oil in right now. And I also just changed out this mount. So, new mount in place. So now it's not going to sit there and vibrate. This mount is about ready to go bad though. It's already pretty much bad, so for another day. That's the update.